Now on the D3Football.com Around the Nation podcast. I've had just about as many players as we've ever had on the show at the same time. We are talking with the founder of Quarterbacks versus Cancer and some of the top earners. And Greg and I are very happy to welcome Carter St. John of Alma, Jason Sinetti of UW Whitewater, Bryce Lowe of Carthage, and Cooper Mattern of Concordia Moorhead. I appreciate all you guys joining us on at least for what us in this part of the country is a hot Monday night in the Midwest. Appreciate you guys taking the time.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thanks for having us.
Carter, let's talk about how this all came about, because that's my understanding is you're the person I should ask about how this all came about.
Yep. So originally it started kind of so Alma plays Kalamazoo, and we call it Alma Cares game. It's a cancer game. So all the players get to raise money, and they have someone's last name, someone's name on the back of their jersey, and just like realizing how many of my teammates were affected by a cancer. Kind of was like people had to pick between 3 to 4 or 5 names to put on their jersey. It was very sad. My grandfather passed away 2 years ago to cancer. One of my old basketball coaches is still fighting it, and one of my high school buddies just recently beat cancer. So obviously everyone knows cancer is probably affected someone that we know, and so I just wanted to help out in any way we could. Obviously being a quarterback and at D3, I kind of wanted to help out as much as I could as a quarterback, involving the community as well. And so obviously it's a sad thing to do, but trying to make it as positive as an impact as we could, with high school and middle school students as well.
Carter, I want to ask you, because what you describe with, the game against Kalamazoo and taking part in that, and that sort of thing, it's a long leap from taking that idea and then doing what you've done with it. So how did you come up with the thought of then involving so many other Division III quarterbacks? When I counted them up this afternoon, I think I counted 44 on your list.
Yeah, again, just being a quarterback, obviously I think Alma had the best year of football we've ever had in the history. So kind of using that platform for something better. Obviously football will come to an end eventually. So I just wanted to be able to use that. So people kind of had eyes on Alma, might have known who I was, and I wanted to be able to kind of springboard something better, than just, hey, Alma's good at football. Hey, maybe we can do something better for the community. Especially with Division III, I think a lot of people overlook Division III people as athletes a lot of the time, and so I wanted to kind of band everyone together, so we could do something great together.
Jason, let me turn this over to you for a minute. How did you find out about this program and then want to get involved?
Yeah, so Carter reached out to me. I was just actually looking at before the meeting. He just sent me a big old message, kind of describing what he envisioned for this program and for training quarterbacks, but then having the way of, okay, all the money's going to go to cancer research. And really, like, what I thought was cool is that we train quarterbacks and we accumulate donations, and then it goes to the Cancer Foundation of our choice. And so for me, I was like, oh man, I know the one right in Madison, and I feel really great about the connections I have are in the area, all the way down to Whitewater, right? So I was like, man, like we could really do something here. So it didn't take me too long to be like, oh, absolutely, let's get on it.
Bryce, how about your origin story with this program too?
Yeah, similar to Jason. Carter reached out to me on social media, and I like instantly knew I wanted to be a part of it. I knew I was gonna have to wait a little longer because it would have been easier just training down here. I reached out to my quarterback coach right away to see if we could work something out. So they were kind enough to help me with that and allowed me to use their quarterbacks that they train. But same with Jason. Like the charity of my choosing was National Pediatric Cancer Foundation. So I was a part of a club with that in high school through someone that I went to like an aftercare program with, lost his like courageous battle to cancer. So that like really affected me, and I got close with his sister, and like his sister is like amazing and set up so many different foundations. So I knew I wanted to like do all this donations and trainings in his name.
Wow. I'm going to have a lot of those wow moments, not really sure how to react or what to say. So I don't know if all of those will stay in the show, but I may not know how to react to some of those things. Cooper, tell us a little bit about how you got involved as well.
Yeah, obviously very similar to those two. When Carter texted me, it was a pretty easy yes for me right away. My grandpa had glioblastoma, so I'll kind of be able to do this with him in the back of my mind throughout the whole thing was big for me. But once he texted me, I was able to jump on it right away, and it was nice being from Fargo and going to college in Moorhead. I know a lot of the local coaches around here, local quarterbacks, so just either shooting them a DM on social media or even having their phone number ready to go and let them know kind of what Carter wanted to do and what we want to do as a whole for the whole organization. It was an easy yes right away and something we were able to get on pretty early.
Thank you guys for sharing that and how you got into the program. I got a question for Carter. When you thought of this idea and you launched it, what were your expectations for this first sort of spring and summer about participation, dollars raised, and how has what you've been able to do this spring and summer compared to what you thought was possible?
Yeah, so originally, like these guys talked about, I reached out to them. The first kind of wave is the way I did it. So I reached out to the entire MIAA of quarterbacks and I was really scared about the idea, just because they might say, no, that's stupid. I don't want to do this. But they all gave really good feedback, and joined as well. And so, expectations were, I don't want to say low, but I was really didn't know how it was going to go at all. I originally wanted just to raise, I think, $500. So it's $25 per session. And so I just wanted to raise $500 just for the local Alma charity. And so I'm just doing my best. I think we're just under $7,000 combined. We sold, what was it, about $600 worth of t-shirts, I believe. And then through training, we're around 6,300. And so these guys obviously they're here on this interview today because of the hard work that they've done. And so a lot of credit goes to all these guys because without them, again, I might have raised $500 and maybe that would be it. So we're over just under $7,000, all to their credit.
I'm going to circle around backwards. Come back to Cooper for a second. Some of the Carter talked about one of the major inspirations for him for being in this program and starting it up. Bryce talked about it a little bit. Are you willing to share a little bit about who are the sort of people when you're doing this? Who are you thinking about?
Right. Kind of like I mentioned earlier, my grandpa is definitely the biggest proponent, I guess, thinking about that when I'm going through this. Like Carter mentioned earlier, everyone is in some way is affected by cancer, unfortunately, whether it's a close friend or family member, whoever it may be. And kind of just to be able to do this in his name. I was really close with him and, a never missed a game kind of guy, always there for not only me, but the rest of our family. So he was definitely the biggest guy I had in my mind when doing this.
Jason, how about you?
Ooh, I mean, so I got a couple of family members who have, done their fair share of battles with cancer. And the first one I think about, first and foremost, is my mom. And it was like a year or two ago in the middle of the football season, and she phoned me up and gave me the bad news. And I was just in the middle of the season, all busy, right? You know what I mean? Like, this is the last thing I was expecting, but her battle with it, I think about the most. And then my grandma, who passed away from it when I was in high school. Those are the two biggest, probably my mom and my grandma with their battles with cancer.
Some of you talked a little bit about how you've gone about, reaching people and getting people involved, getting, these young quarterbacks to come and train with you. What are some of the things for any of you who might have suggestions for some of the other 40 or so quarterbacks in the program, and maybe some of the others who are listening to this and thinking about it, how they might reach out to their network and be successful in this?
I can start it. So what I did is I had Coach Couch, the college coach, Alma's coach. I had him just because of his recruiting ties. I had him reach out to a bunch of local high schools in the area, and we got some pretty good feedback from that. And so that's where a lot of the kids I had were from. but I tried something new, and I think this is what I'm going to do going forward for next year. Is what I'm going to do is, so just recently I went to Charlotte High School in Michigan, and so I have a close connection because that's where my whole dad's side of the family is from. And so they got to know the high school coach there. And so what I'm going to do for next year is, instead of reaching out to high school coaches to have their quarterbacks come to me, I'm going to do more of a traveling type of thing where I reach out to high school coaches and go to them. Obviously, a lot of these guys are going to do different things to raise money, and clearly whatever they're doing is working. So pay attention to what they say as well. But I think something that might block it is some kids might not want to travel an hour or 45 minutes even early in the morning on a Saturday to come work out. And so what I want to do is be able to offer that to them, is go to where they are.
Bryce, let me ask you, because you did mention, of course, that you're at home in Tampa. That's pretty far away from Carthage. So what are the other ways that you've been able to kind of get kids involved?
Yeah, for sure. So I did something similar to Carter. Instead of doing individual training sessions, I've only done a few of those. I kind of did like just one big camp is what I was kind of like putting it out there as. So I had my mom and like my close friends posted on like their Facebook pages so like they could see it. So I got a lot of donations through there. We only ended up having a few kids at the training session, but through talking with the parents that are in my like quarterback like training group, it's called the stable, within the parents in the stable, they were very generous and gave donations. Close friends gave donations. So for me, I mean, it was obviously like I love the training aspect of it, but in my mind, whichever way we could raise money is like awesome. So I knew like the donations through the Facebook or just kind of going and talking to people in person. I think it means a lot more than reaching out if it's able to. It makes it more personable. So that's where I found like most of like my success with that.
Some of that stuff is hard to do. Just talk about, putting yourself out there and reaching out and talking to people directly.
Yeah, I mean, in the stable for a lot of years now, so a lot of the parents have kind of like known me, so that aspect was a little easier. But there was a couple kids that showed up to the camp that I like that weren't involved at the stable that I didn't know. They just kind of saw it through like the grapevine and social media. So talking to them, like you said, that was a little tough, but everyone is like willing to talk, and like once you get over that hump, it makes it a lot easier.
Jason, do you have any good tactics or suggestions to add here?
I mean, I first started with probably the easiest one is to post it everywhere. Post it everywhere, like Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, any audience or person that you can reach in those settings. I mean, that was my start. And then as I was doing that, and then once I had like a graphic and info and, kind of the way I saw this happening, it was small group training, every weekend or every other weekend. And I would communicate with the quarterbacks that were involved on, kind of time so I can work with them on what works best. So what I really thought was awesome was using kind of like these guys have been saying is utilizing those connections that they have with either coaches. Like I relied on coaches a lot. Playing, high school football in the Madison area, I met a lot of coaches, and actually, Coach Kimmis from Edgewood, before we scrimmaged him at DeForest, and so I had known him. He's the one that provided field space at Edgewood High. Like those guys were, I'm so grateful for them for that connection because I had a couple fields in mind. I just called Coach or called him up. I was like, hey, like, would this be possible? Ran it by them. More, I mean, great communication. More than happy to hand me the field for 2 hours on a Saturday or a Sunday, and so had the coaches, and Coach Rindle was big on it and spreading the word around the Whitewater area. I kind of handle like the Madison area schools,
Okay.
and coaching with I do the assistant coaching with Coach Tricky and his quarterback camps, and so I kind of knew a good number of quarterbacks going into this thing, and so I even phoned up the Memorial quarterback. I phoned up a couple other high school quarterbacks. I'm like, hey guys, like, aside from tricky stuff, like, hey, like I got this thing going, would you guys be interested? And so I had guys driving up from Janesville, Whitewater, all the way from toward like Richland Center, guys traveling like out, an hour or so to Madison area. So it was awesome. We had great numbers, and so just those were the connections that I kind of utilized.
Cooper, I don't want to move on before I ask you the same
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, I'd say the two biggest people, I mean, like they mentioned, outside of social media, that's going to be your biggest platform no matter what.
Yeah.
But Coach Rand was good about spreading it to the local high schools, kind of at the start of things. And then I got it was kind of easier for me only because my dad is he's the high school head coach at Shanley, where I went to high school in Fargo. So he knows a lot, pretty much all of the local high school coaches just from playing against them every year. So he was able to kind of send out, I guess, like a mass email to all of them when things kind of got picked up. So I got a lot of kids through that. And then in the summers, I coach the youth football camps, fourth graders through eighth graders at Shanley in the afternoon. So I was able to get a handful of kids from that too, kind of to get it started. So I'd say those were kind of my big 3 to 4 pathways and how I was able to get kids to join.
I want to get the call to action in here before we've gone too much further. So someone goes to quarterbacks versus cancer, and that's spell out quarterbacks vs CANCER. There's a big donate link in that menu. And then to support an individual quarterback, I guess anybody can answer that. What's kind of the mechanism to, if you're a Cooper Mattern fan or a Jason Cinetti fan, or, a Norwich fan or a Methodist fan or anybody else who's on this list, what do they do?
So to just donate, you can go in, there should be a donate page. What you'll have to do is put their name on it, your quarterback, the local quarterback you want to support, just put their name on it, and then that money will go to our pot. And then at the very end of the summer, we're going to split all the money up to everyone that's raised money, got donations, all that sort of stuff, and send it out to them, have them provide a check to wherever their foundation was. So go to that donation spot, or again, for next summer, because this is coming to an end, can go to their spot to buy a session with a quarterback on the quarterbacks page.
So you don't have to be an aspiring young quarterback to buy the session. That's still the mechanism that people use.
Correct. You don't have to be. You can still donate however much money you want to that quarterback. Yes.
Now I'm envisioning over the course of, the next several weeks on X or whatever, a lot of you guys with big novelty sized checks, right? To be to hand off, to be donated to the organizations that you're supporting.
Something like that. We'll see how big the checks get, but
right.
something like that for sure.
All right.
I know you guys might be busy in the next after the next few weeks with your seasons. You might not have time for sessions, but how do you plan to promote this maybe on campus on Saturdays this fall?
So for the big thing for me, we're still selling t-shirts all the time. And so like I sent it to a bunch of my buddies, and they were more than happy to buy t-shirts off the website. We do have a limited supply. So this is for everyone. We will ship them out to you. But so what I plan on doing is continuing to try to sell t-shirts, and also kind of brainstorm some more ideas on how we could get better for next year.
I plan on getting you guys sold out of t-shirts, so we'll start with that. Anybody else have anything to add that's different, unique, or might be worth adding here? Not everybody has to answer this one, is what I was picturing.
Yeah, like when Breast Cancer Awareness Month comes about, I mean, that was going to be my perfect one, because at my high school in Memorial, we did a little game where we all wore the pink and everything, and something that was kind of cool when Coach Harris took over in the latter half of my high school career, he had us kind of do a similar thing, was where, hey, like, we're not just gonna wear pink because it looks cool, but like, hey, like, this is, and we made all these like little cards of like, hey, like, this is who we're doing it for, and this is like why we're promoting this thing. And so in the spirit of that, like, it's normal for me to like think about that like every month that thing comes about.
I was probably gonna talk through like the SAC program that is at Carthage, try to find some ways that we can incorporate just the donations, and then in the spring, once it gets a little warmer out, reach out to more of the local high schoolers before they start their like summer workouts and stuff like that.
All right. So people have logged on to this podcast expecting to talk about this, but I also want to kind of hear from each of you about going into this upcoming season. I want to start with Jason because what I expect, at least on paper, is that Jason, you got a good amount of time in a couple of instances last year as the quarterback for Whitewater, and at least penciled in as the QB1 as far as I know, going into camp when camp starts here in a couple of weeks. Talk about what you're expecting, what we should see from Whitewater this season.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be Coach Rendell's second year, and it's been a lot of fun. And ever since he took over, there was just a huge energy to really get back to work, right? And focus on just getting the little things. And we're very process driven, so you'll never hear us talking about the future. You'll never hear us talking about even next week. Like it's all process orientated, and so for us, like we're coming in hungry and we're determined to kind of make a statement. In every single week, every game that we play, just compete. And yeah, just again, every week, just taking it 1 week at a time. We're going to prepare as best we can, and then go out and compete every Saturday. Have fun, have a whole lot of fun.
Bryce, new head coach for you guys. Tell us a little bit about Carthage coming up this year.
Yeah, for sure. Just kind of like what Jason was saying, there's like this new energy that's been kind of distributed out within the team. And I think everyone's kind of eager to get back to campus to play for Coach Pop and see what he has in store for us. He's put together a great coaching staff. We had a great spring. From what I've heard from like the teammates is like everyone's been working this summer. So I think everyone's eager to get back and ready to show the energy.
Cooper, how about you guys?
I think the big thing for us is kind of just the continuity we bring back. I guess offensively, all 11 guys have at least 1 to 2 years of experience coming back, and then some of us even 3 years. And that's really the biggest thing. I think the biggest thing to adapt to will be our new offensive system. So Coach Pollock, he's our offensive coordinator, and his first year was last year, but he kind of got the short end of the stick because he was our O-line coach 2 years ago now, and he got promoted only 2 to 3 days before our fall camp started last year.
Oh, okay.
So it was a super quick turnaround for him. He was able to kind of implement some of his stuff as the season went on. But this past spring and then obviously this fall coming up is going to be his whole offensive scheme, if that's what you want to call it, kind of his stuff. So we're kind of just getting the reins on that, getting used to that, and seeing where that takes us. But it's been smooth sailing so far, and we're kind of just looking to build on it going into this fall.
Carter, I left the All-American for last on this one. Not quite the highest ranked team on this list here on this call. I'm sure some people probably think you guys should be, but tell us a little bit about Alma coming up this fall.
Yeah, the biggest thing for us is what Coach Couch has been preaching to us is don't drink the ink. He said that a lot last year. Right now, Alma is where we've never been before. So it's don't drink the ink. Don't look at the newspapers. Don't look at anything. Still have an underdog mindset going into every game, going into each practice. We still want to create havoc wherever we are on the field, off the field. Just continuing to stay hungry, as I'm sure a lot of guys will say.
But I feel like at the very least, I need to tell people about the ink as a reminder that is preseason number 7 team in the country. And I don't mean to ignore the fact that Whitewater is preseason number 3 in the country. So
like I've never been in the QB room before, Pat. It's nice to be in the room with all of this talent, guys from a lot of rugged leagues here. So this has been a lot of fun.
Jason, I want to ask, what's this play on the board behind you? I think it's probably blurred out enough that we're not giving away any secrets for you guys here, but what are we looking at?
You're looking at a whole lot of memorial stuff, so take a gander.
All right.
But no, yeah, I'm seated in the war room in the basement. My dad's been a high school coach for longer than I've been alive, so that's where I get a lot of my work ethic and the attention to detail when it comes to preparing. So definitely I'm a whiteboard guy, definitely a film guy. Yeah, but when we go home for the summer in D3, I mean, I'm watching a whole lot of film every single day. So, and I was actually just going over film and game plans right before I got on this.
Well, for each of you, what's the most interesting thing you've seen on film here over the course of the summer? What sticks out at you guys? What do you guys remember that you've seen?
Coach, I can start, I guess. Coach Pollock and I was just in his office the other week, and we were watching we played Eau Claire last last year, week one, and all I remember from that game is it was like over 100 degrees on the turf when it was all said and done. They threw that marching band behind our sideline.
Yeah.
Uh, so that was a rude awakening to the WIAC, I guess, if you want to say that. But that was fun to kind of go back and watch that game, close game. They ended up getting us, but yeah, it was it was a hot game, fun game, great atmosphere, and that's probably what sticks out to me the most, kind of from the summer.
Who else wants to volunteer something?
For me, besides the East Kilbride Pirates that we played over in Scotland, besides that, it's been like a lot of the what ifs, especially against obviously Cortland. Just like what if I do this? What if I do this? Obviously it's stuff that you can't beat yourself up about too much because it's in the past now. But just like going back to see that game and now realizing how good we were, how close we were to what it felt like was really cool. Obviously it sucks to lose in that game, obviously. But just seeing them go win it all, just kind of kept our hopes up a little bit to see how good we could be.
I don't mean to keep twisting the knife, but of course, for people who don't remember how that game ended, of course, it ended with you on the sideline. So, what was does that does that fuel you more knowing that you weren't able to be out there? And of course, also how you feeling? Everything is okay, I assume by now, 7 months
Yeah,
later.
it was just a sprained ankle. Whatever the doctors gave to me in the at halftime worked a little bit because I got to play enough in the second half. Obviously, I wasn't fully healthy to go out there and play what I felt like was my best, but I'm okay now. Just again, sucks going back and watching it, seeing how close we were.
Greg, bail me out. Give me one more.
Yeah, I could bail you out real quick.
Feel free. Go for it.
Got your back, man. All right, so I think postseason or just off season, I think all of us have ran through every single game that we've watched or every single game that we've played the past year. And so once you kind of reel through all that and the what ifs, like Cart was saying, just kind of like the corrections where you could have been better. The cool thing that I do a lot is I study a lot of other quarterbacks' game, whether it be the guys that we play or the most interesting stuff that I've watched this summer. My coach did it. We were doing a lot of homework stuff, assignments over the summer, and so that's been keeping me really busy. And the biggest one that I did that I really nerded out on was watching a whole lot of Bo Nix tape, watching a whole lot of 49ers tape, watching a whole lot of JJ McCarthy tape in Michigan. But Bo Nix was a big one to watch, study. I think like 6 games worth. Just like the things that you could take away there. Like you could really nerd out in the offensive portion, like, okay, like this is what they do with the plays and okay, third and extra long, how do they go about doing, procedure wise? Or you could look at like the nitty-gritty details of like what we do, right, in a phone booth, like technique, footwork. So those were a lot of things, and I've pulled a lot from his game over this past summer, and it's really elevated my game a lot too. So that's just a fun thing I love to do.
Nice. Let me throw that to Bryce then next. Like when you're watching guys, when you're watching quarterbacks, who are the ones that you're kind of specifically looking at, the guys you might pattern yourself against, that sort of thing?
Uh, just like the follow-up question to that is that you mean like throughout like just whatever or like what I've watched within the conference? Like what do you?
I think mostly when part of the reason why I asked this question is because people may not have seen you play, but they would have seen Bo Nix play, they would have seen JJ McCarthy play, that sort of thing. When you're
Yeah.
thinking about who you're looking to learn from or emulate in terms of your game, who are the quarterbacks you're looking at?
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, for me, I mean, I'm not the biggest guy, the strongest guy, fastest guy. So like kind of like how Jason was saying, like being in like the film room is like where I've exceeded. I've been able to succeed because of that. And I mean, there's so many different quarterbacks you can see, but I mean, just going back to like old like Drew Brees tape, like just I feel like growing up, like I mean, he's obviously not the biggest. So like I just thought like gained a little confidence from watching him. But anyone that's like kind of has like that chip on their shoulder, I mean, being a Tampa guy, watching Baker Mayfield now, I mean, he is like just it's insane with like the grittiness that he plays with, and I love the like implementing that in my game as much as I can. I mean, just when you're a fan base of a team, you obviously watch that quarterback a lot more. So seeing like the little stuff from training camp even now, it's just like you want to emulate that as much as you can.
Cooper, same question to you.
Yeah, I don't know. Outside of watching guys within the conference and kind of our level, I guess, around the country, at the end of the day, football's football, right? So I think especially when you get to the college level, defenses are going to be doing a lot of the same thing year in and year out, especially at our level when they retain defensive coordinators pretty much every year. Guys aren't really leaving colleges a whole lot to take other jobs once they get here. But I just feel like emulating a lot of the Mayak has had some pretty notable quarterbacks of the past few years. Like you think of St. John's and guys that they've had. Bethel's had some great quarterbacks. Kind of watching them and see what they do, just because you'll be able to see the same defenses that we're going to be able to see every week. As for the Division I level, big McCarthy guy last year, definitely 2019 Joe Burrow was, I think, kind of everyone's favorite. I feel like that'd be safe to say, but those two at the D1 level, but then just within the conference, being able to watch past tape even from previous seasons and just seeing what the elite quarterbacks within the conference and in the whole Division III country have done, I think has been really helpful.
Carter, I think I saw you nodding at Joe Burrow. Who else would we be thinking about?
Definitely, I don't really watch a ton of Division I football, honestly. So like, I mean, obviously everyone knows what Joe Burrow was in 2019.
I mean, I don't either. I don't have time to watch anything else other than Division III and the occasional NFL game. So yeah.
Yeah, but other than that, like I would have Johnny Manziel's highlight tape always on. Not necessarily doing what he always did, but just kind of the fun electricity he had on the field. But then a big piece for me was as a Lions fan watching Matthew Stafford. Just not even like how he plays because no one has that same kind of arm strength that he has, but the leadership that he had and especially the toughness. I always joke around that I'm gonna truck someone, but he actually did it. I'm like, it was definitely against the Titans. I don't remember when, but trucking a NFL linebacker as a quarterback is kind of unheard of. And so that's something I like try to envision myself as, just because like as someone that's watching him play, I mean, how wouldn't you want to play for that guy if he's trucking a linebacker? So that's I don't want to necessarily put myself in harm's way by going head to head with the linebacker, but the theory of it for sure.
Yeah.
We have Coach
Jason
Couch
Couch on line
one.
one. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Greg and I have been doing this too long. Greg, do you have any other questions to tee up for the group?
I guess the final thought, like, what are you guys looking forward to most as we get into fall? What dates, games, events you guys have looking forward to? Not 1 week at a time. We're not going to allow that this time.
I was going to say everybody is just going to say week one, but all right, let's hear it. Jason, we'll go with you. I picked the guy who's on mute. Give him a second.
Well, I'm just looking forward to, the battles throughout the whole season. I'm looking forward to the entire season as a whole. It's going to be a grind, and with the kind of realignment with everything, the season's going to be a lot longer now. But it's going to be so exciting. And, as you mentioned, like I played in a couple games last year, but this is going to be really my first year, really getting after it. And, again, just having this opportunity to go play and battle for my teammates and couldn't ask for anything else, man. And so it is going to be a week to week answer for me. But again, I'm just going to soak up every moment we got and just go let it all hang out for my boys.
I assume it would be nameless gray face in week one, right? That's what I would expect to hear from a Whitewater guy. And yeah, you guys all hope for a longer season. That's for sure. Cooper, what are you looking forward to?
Yeah, we got the MIAC. It's interesting because obviously there's 10 teams and it's split 5-5 for the division. So this year, same schedule, the locations are just flipped for each game. So our week 2 game is actually in Tacoma, Washington. We play Pacific Lutheran out there. So obviously getting to leave halfway through the week, take a flight with the guys will be something to look forward to. It doesn't really happen a whole lot in D3 football unless you're in the playoffs. Usually you're taking a bus because our farthest game is somewhere in the cities, Minneapolis area. But outside of that, that's definitely the one that I'm looking most forward to, just being able to leave on a Wednesday or a Thursday and stay in a hotel for a couple nights, take a flight with the guys, and get ready for the game on Saturday.
Bryce, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you always within our conference, you gotta say Carroll just because that's like our Musket game. It's the rivalry game. It's been a thing forever now. We have the Musket back in Kenosha, so that's always good. It's the last game of the year, so that's gonna be at Carroll and Waukesha. So that's definitely gonna be one that I know the whole team's looking forward to. My freshman sophomore year, we had to take it from us, and last year we able to put together a nice little win and take it back. So just looking to keep the Musket in Kenosha.
Greg, this is why we ask these questions. I think every time we have a conversation, we learn about another trophy game that we had not really had on our radar.
We do. This is new. I was unaware, Carthage and Carroll with the Musket. We're going to look that up. I'm going to learn more about it.
All right,
Bryce, what's that trophy look like?
It's literally a musket. Like it's a musket. It's sick. And
That's sweet.
yeah. So my freshman year, we had it, and we were trying to put together like a 2-minute drive, and we weren't able to be successful. And as soon as the clock hit 0, I mean, I'm standing there and like obviously devastated because I couldn't tried everything I could, and you just see everyone from Carroll running across the field to get the trophy. I didn't know that at the time. I was like super confused, but that's when like it all kind of clicked to me that like within like D3 and like the CCIW, like there is like a little rivalry. I mean, I guess like you guys didn't even know, but to us, like that's that's the game that everyone likes to look forward to.
You are the two schools that put the W in the CCIW, so it makes perfect sense, right?
Yes, yes.
Carter, I'll leave the last word on this to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really a game for me. It's like just getting back to camp. I'm sure a lot of these guys are tired, at least I am, of the off season of go to work, come back, work out, maybe throw, maybe watch film, and then rinse, repeat every single day. And obviously, you have the off season to get healthy and get better. But at this point, we're so close. We just want to get back to camp. But if I did have to pick a game, we're going up to Northern Michigan and playing the Dome. And so it'll be a cool one, at least play on, I think it's AstroTurf. But unfortunate for me, we were supposed to play Hanover that week and would have been able to go drive down to Indiana, where I'm from. And so instead of my parents having a 2-hour drive to Hanover, now they have, I believe, an 11-hour drive all the way up to top of Michigan. So my dad was not very happy. But
there's no D3 in the UP anymore, but you guys still found someone to play anyway. All right. And Carter, just remind people to get involved as a quarterback in the organization. What do people do?
You can go and sign up on the website. Everything through there goes to my email. So as long as I have my computer with me, I can respond, or have my phone with me. I will respond to you guys as fast as possible. Any questions, comments, concerns that they have for the organization.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.